My daughter told me I wasn't her real father. She said, my other dad is better than you. So I stopped acting as one. They didn't expect what was coming. Hello. Thank you for your continuous support. This means a lot to us. If you enjoy the stories we share, kindly subscribe to this channel. It will be great if you can leave a comment on which city you are watching from. We might just give you a shout out in our next story. Today's special shout out goes to Paulette Brown from Dallas, Texas. We are glad you enjoy our stories. Now let's dive into the details of today's story. I never saw it coming. That night Lily tore my world apart. 16 years I'd raised her. 16 years of late nights, packed lunches, and arguments over homework. I wasn't perfect, too quiet sometimes, too strict others, but I thought I'd done right by her. That night, though, she looked at me like I was nothing, and her words hit harder than any fist ever could. It started over something stupid. She'd snuck out again, probably to meet those friends I didn't trust, kids with too much attitude and not enough sense. I caught her creeping back in at midnight, shoes in hand like I wouldn't hear the creak of the stairs. Where were you? I asked, standing in the living room, arms crossed. My voice was steady, but inside I was boiling. She rolled her eyes, that teenage defiance flaring up. None of your business, she snapped, tossing her jacket on the couch. You're not the boss of me. While you're under my roof, I am. I shot back. You don't get to disappear and not tell me where you're going. That's when it happened. Her face twisted, all that pent-up anger spilling out. You don't get it, do you? You're not even my real dad. My other dad is better than you, way better. Her voice cracked on the last word, but she didn't back down. She stood there, chest heaving, daring me to argue. I froze. The room went silent, like the air had been sucked out. My real dad. Other dad. The words spun in my head, sharp and jagged. I looked at Sarah, sitting on the couch, her eyes wide. She opened her mouth, then shut it, saying nothing. That hesitation, it was a knife in my gut. 16 years, and she couldn't even deny it fast enough to make me believe her. Lily, go to your room, Sarah finally muttered, her voice small. Lily smirked, like she'd won, and stormed upstairs. I didn't move. I couldn't. My hands clenched into fists, but I didn't know who I wanted to hit. Lily, Sarah, or myself for being so blind. You going to explain that? I asked Sarah, my tone low, dangerous. She fidgeted, picking at the hem of her sweater. She's just mad, Paul. You know how kids are. She didn't mean it. Didn't she? I stepped closer, staring her down. Because you didn't exactly jump to correct her. Sarah flinched, but she didn't answer. That silence said more than words ever could. I turned away, my mind racing. An other dad. Who the hell was she talking about? I'd been there since Lily was born. Diapers, fevers, first steps. If I wasn't her real dad, then what had I been all this time? A placeholder? A fool. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the kitchen, nursing a coffee that went cold hours ago, replaying every moment I could remember. Sarah's late nights with friends years back. The way Lily's eyes didn't quite match mine. I'd brushed it off, told myself it didn't matter. Blood or not, she was mine. But now I wasn't so sure. Around 2 a.m., I heard her voice drifting down the hall. Lily's door was cracked open, and she was on the phone, whispering but loud enough for me to catch it. Yeah, I told him, she said, her tone softer, almost proud. He doesn't even know what to do. You're so much cooler than him, Dad. Dad. She said it again, and it wasn't me she was talking to. My stomach twisted. I edged closer, peering through the gap. She was curled up on her bed, phone glowing against her face, smiling like I'd never seen her smile at me. I can't wait to meet you for real, she added. Soon, okay? I stepped back, my heart pounding. Whoever this guy was, she believed he was her father, and he was close enough to meet. I didn't know his name, his face, nothing. But I knew one thing. He'd gotten into her head, and she'd just kicked me out of it. The next morning, Sarah acted like nothing happened. She made breakfast, chattered about work, avoided my eyes. Lily came down, grabbed a piece of toast, and didn't even look at me. I didn't say a word. What was there to say? She'd drawn a line, and I wasn't on her side of it anymore. I went to the living room after they left, Sarah to her job, Lily to school, or wherever she went these days. There was a photo on the mantle, one from years ago, me, Sarah, and Lily at the park. She was 6, grinning with missing teeth, clinging to my hand. I picked it up, ran my thumb over the glass. That girl was gone. The man in the picture? He didn't exist anymore either. My jaw tightened. Fine, I thought. If she didn't want me as her father, I was done acting like one. I set the photo down, turned it face first against the wood. They didn't know it yet, but something had shifted in me. Something hard, something cold. And whatever came next, they weren't ready for it. I stopped talking after that night. Not out of spite, not at first, just because I didn't know what to say anymore. Lily had ripped something out of me, and Sarah's silence had let it bleed. The house felt different, like I was a tenant instead of a father, a husband. I went through the motions, work, home, sleep, but I wasn't there. Not really. Lily didn't care. She came and went like I was invisible. No more arguments, no more curfews. She'd stroll in past midnight, headphones on, and I'd just watch from the couch, saying nothing. Sarah noticed, though. You're letting her run wild, she said one morning, stirring her coffee too fast. She needs boundaries, Paul. She made it clear I don't get a say, I replied, not looking up from my laptop. She's got her other dad for that. Sarah stiffened, but she didn't push. Good. I wasn't in the mood for her excuses. Work kept me sane. I'd been an accountant for years, crunching numbers for small businesses, tracking every penny. It was boring to most, but I liked the order of it. That week, though, my mind wandered. I kept seeing Lily's face, that smirk when she'd thrown those words at me. My other dad is better. Who was he? The question gnawed at me, and late at night, when the house was quiet, old memories started creeping in. There'd been a stretch, maybe 10 years back, when Sarah and I barely spoke. She'd been distant, always out with friends, while I stayed home with Lily. I'd found a receipt once, dinner for 2, someplace we never went together. I'd asked her about it, and she'd laughed it off, said it was a coworker's birthday. I believed her because I wanted to, because Lily was my world, and I couldn't imagine losing her. Now, though? Now I wondered. I started digging, not into Sarah, into him. Whoever this other dad was, Lily knew him, talked to him. I remembered that phone call, her voice soft and eager. I didn't have a name, but I had something better, instinct, and a knack for following trails. At work, I'd caught clients hiding cash in fake accounts, same principle here. People leave tracks if you know where to look. I waited until Friday night. Sarah was at a book club, or so she said, and Lily was out again. I grabbed my laptop and started with what I had, her phone. She'd left it charging once, and I'd seen a name pop up, Jake. No last name, just Jake. It was a start. I logged into our family plan online, pulled the call logs. There he was, a number she'd called half a dozen times in the last month, always late at night. I ran it through a reverse lookup. Nothing official, just a prepaid burner. That alone set my nerves on edge. I kept going. Cross-referenced the area code online, found forums where people swapped info on shady numbers. One post caught my eye, a guy complaining about a Jake who'd charmed his daughter, promised her a modeling gig, then vanished with $5,000. No proof it was the same guy, but the pieces fit too well. I dug deeper, found a news article from a few years back. Small-time con artist, Jacob Reese, arrested for fraud. The mugshot showed a guy in his 30s, all charm and sharp edges. Was this him? I couldn't be sure, but my gut said yes. Lily came home around 1 a.m. I heard her footsteps, then her door shut. I waited, then crept down the hall. Her light was still on, and I pressed my ear to the door. I know, I miss you too, she was saying, her voice low. School's dumb anyway. When can I come see you? A pause, then a laugh. Yeah, he doesn't even care anymore. You're so much cooler. My blood ran cold. She was talking to him again, and she sounded happy. Happier than she'd ever been with me. I backed off, went to my room, and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. This Jake, whoever he was, had her hooked. And if he was the guy I thought he wasn't just after her admiration. Guys like that, they preyed on kids, on families. I'd seen it in my work. Fake invoices, sob stories, anything to bleed you dry. Sarah got home an hour later, tiptoeing like she thought I was asleep. I wasn't. I lay there, eyes open, thinking. Lily was in deep, and this Jake was dangerous. I could feel it. Part of me wanted to storm in, shake her awake, demand answers. But she just pushed me away again. She didn't want me. She'd made that clear. I rolled over, pulled up my laptop, and opened that article again. Jacob Reese's face stared back at me, smirking like he knew something I didn't. My hand shook as I saved the photo. She could hate me all she wanted, but I wasn't letting her walk into a trap. Not yet. I just needed proof and a plan. I couldn't shake that photo of Jacob Reese. It sat on my laptop screen every night, his smirk mocking me while Lily's words echoed in my head. My other dad. Better than you. I'd stopped being her father. She'd made that choice. But I couldn't stop being the guy who'd raised her. Not when I knew something was wrong. Sarah caught me off guard a few days later. I was in the kitchen, staring at a cold cup of coffee, when she walked in, arms crossed like she'd been rehearsing. "We need to talk," she said, her voice sharper than usual. I didn't look up. I wasn't in the mood for her guilt trips about Lily running wild. "About what?" I asked, keeping my tone flat. "About you. You're letting her do whatever she wants, Paul. She's out all hours, and you don't even blink. What's going on?" I set the mug down, slow and deliberate, and met her eyes. "She told me I'm not her dad. You didn't argue. Why should I keep pretending I am?" Her face went pale, and for a second, I thought she'd bolt. But she didn't. She sank into a chair, hands twisting together. "I need to tell you something," she said, quieter now. "About before. I knew what was coming. I'd felt it for years, that shadow between us." "Go on," I said, leaning back, arms folded. She took a breath. "There was someone. 10 years ago, when things were bad. You were working late all the time, and I was lonely. It didn't last long, just a few weeks. But Lily's yours, Paul. I swear she's yours." I didn't move. My chest tightened, but I kept my face stone cold. "Then why is she calling some guy dad?" I asked. "Why'd you let her believe I'm not?" Sarah's eyes dropped to the table. I was mad. We'd had that fight, remember? About money? "I threw it in your face once, said maybe she wasn't yours. I didn't mean it. But Lily overheard, and I didn't correct her. She was little. I thought she'd forget. Then she started asking questions, and I just let it sit there. I stared at her, the woman I'd built a life with, and felt nothing but ice. She'd planted that seed, watered it with spite, and now it was choking me out. "You let her think I'm a lie," I said, voice low. "For years." "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears welling up. "I didn't think it'd go this far. Please, Paul, talk to her. She needs you." "She doesn't want me," I snapped, standing up. "She's got her other dad now. And you let it happen." I walked out before she could say more, my hands shaking. Sorry didn't fix this. Sorry didn't erase the hole she dug. That night, I followed Lily. She'd been texting nonstop, sneaking glances at her phone like it was a lifeline. I'd seen the pattern, out late, back later, always with that smug little grin. I needed to know who this Jake was, face to face. So when she slipped out at 9 p.m., I grabbed my keys and tailed her. She took the bus downtown, and I stayed a block behind, headlights off when I could manage it. She got off near a dive bar, the kind with neon signs and guys smoking out front. I parked across the street, watched her check her phone, then head toward a guy leaning against a wall. He was tall, lean, with a leather jacket and a smile I recognized from that mugshot. Jake. I couldn't hear them, but I didn't need to. Lily lit up, bouncing on her toes like a kid meeting a rock star. He said something, and she laughed, loud, free, the way she never did at home. He handed her a soda, all casual, but I saw the way his eyes flicked over her, sizing her up. It wasn't fatherly. It was predatory. They talked for maybe 10 minutes. He kept touching her arm, leaning in too close. My grip tightened on the steering wheel, but I didn't move. She'd chosen this. She'd picked him over me. Then he pulled out his phone, showed her something that made her gasp, and she hugged him. He grinned, and I swear it was the same smirk from that photo. She left after that, heading back to the bus stop. Jake watched her go, then made a call, pacing like he was closing a deal. I stayed put, waiting. When he finally walked off, I started the car but didn't follow. I'd seen enough. He was real, he was here, and he had her hooked. Back home, Sarah was waiting, her face puffy from crying. "Paul, please," she started, but I cut her off. "I'm done fixing your mess," I said, brushing past her. Upstairs, I locked my office door, pulled out that recorder I'd bought weeks ago. Jake wasn't just a ghost in her head anymore. He was a threat I could touch. And I was going to bury him. I'd had enough of waiting. Jake wasn't just a voice on Lily's phone anymore. He was real, flesh and blood, and I'd seen the way he looked at her. Like she was a prize, not a daughter. Sarah's confession had lit a fire in me, but not the kind she wanted. She thought I'd swoop in, play the hero, patch up our family. No. I was done begging for a place in their lives. This wasn't about fixing things. It was about ending a threat. I spent days planning. That recorder sat on my desk, a cheap little thing I'd picked up for work meetings, but it was all I needed. Jake was a con man. I'd pieced that together from the article, the forum posts, the way he moved. Guys like him thrived on trust, and I was going to use that against him. I pulled his number from Lily's call log, stared at it until I couldn't anymore, then dialed. Yeah. His voice was smooth, cocky, like he was always expecting a win. "This is Paul," I said, keeping it flat. "Lily's father." I choked on the word, but it didn't matter. He get the point. A pause, then a low chuckle. "Oh, hey man. She's told me about you. What's up?" "I know what you're doing," I cut in. "And I want her gone. She's not mine, she's yours now. How much to make that happen?" He didn't hesitate. "Straight to business, huh? I like that. Let's say 5 grand. Cash. She's worth it, right?" My stomach turned, but I kept my voice steady. "Fine. Meet me tomorrow, 8 p.m. parking lot behind the old warehouse on 5th. Bring her if you want. I don't care." "Deal," he said, and hung up. Too easy. He thought he'd won. Thought I was some desperate sap ready to pay him off. Perfect. I called in a favor next. A guy I knew from work, Tom, had a cousin on the force. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. "Some creep's messing with my kid," I said. "Caught him on tape. Can you get someone to listen?" Tom didn't ask questions. By noon, I had a name, Detective Harris, and a promise she'd be there if I had proof. That night, I barely slept. Sarah tried talking again, cornering me in the hall. "Paul, please," she said, her eyes red. "Lily's slipping away. You have to stop this." "She slipped away when you lied to her," I shot back. "I'm handling it my way." She grabbed my arm, but I shook her off and locked myself in the office. I wasn't doing this for her. Maybe not even for Lily. This was for me. The next day dragged. Lily was out again. I didn't ask where. At 7:30, I drove to the warehouse, parked in the shadows, recorder in my pocket. Harris texted me, in position. "Get him talking." I nodded to myself, checked the battery, and waited. Jake pulled up at 8 sharp, headlights cutting through the dark. He stepped out, alone at first, then waved at his car. Lily climbed out, hesitant, her backpack slung over one shoulder. My chest tightened, but I didn't flinch. She'd see this through. "Paul, right?" Jake called, strolling over, hands in his pockets. "Where's my money?" I held up a duffel bag, empty, just for show. "Right here. But first, tell me what you're planning." "I want her gone for good." He grinned, stepping closer. I hit record. "Oh, man, you're making this easy. Kid's got dreams, wants out of this dump. I'll take her off your hands, set her up somewhere nice. She trusts me, see? Thinks I'm her old man. Few months, she'll get me whatever I need, cash, contacts. Then I'm out. Done it before, works like a charm." Lily froze, her eyes darting between us. "What?" she whispered. Jake laughed. "Relax, kid. It's just business." He turned back to me. "So we good?" "Yeah," I said, tossing the bag at his feet. "We're good." That's when Harris moved in. 2 cops behind her, lights flashing. Jake spun, swearing, but they had him pinned before he could run. The recorder was still rolling as I handed it over. "You set me up?" Jake snarled, cuffs clicking on his wrists. I didn't answer. Lily stared at me, pale, tears streaking her face. I didn't look back. Harris took my statement fast. "Good work," she said. "He's got warrants. This'll stick." I nodded, numb, and watched them haul him off. Lily stood there, shaking, until a cop guided her to a car. She'd be home soon, but I wasn't going with her. Sarah was waiting when I got back, frantic. "Where's Lily? What happened?" "She's safe," I said, brushing past her. "He's gone. That's all you need to know. Paul, talk to me. We can fix this." "No." I cut her off, turning sharp. "We can't. I saved her. That's it. I'm done." She stared, mouth open, as I walked upstairs. I had one more move to make, and it wasn't for them. I didn't sleep after that night. The sound of Jake's voice on that recorder, bragging about using Lily, looped in my head. I'd stopped him, but it didn't feel like a win. Lily's face in that parking lot, shock, tears, betrayal, stuck with me too. She'd seen the truth, but it wasn't me she'd run to. I'd saved her, sure, but I wasn't her hero. Maybe I never had been. The next morning, I moved slow, deliberate. Lily was still out. Harris had called, said they'd kept her overnight for questions, then dropped her home at dawn. I heard her come in, her footsteps heavy, door slamming shut. Sarah was downstairs, pacing, probably waiting for me to fix everything like always. But I was done carrying their weight. I went to the garage first. Lily's guitar was there, propped against a box of junk, a cheap acoustic she'd smashed months ago in a fit over some Rulite set. The neck was cracked, strings dangling. I'd meant to toss it, but never did. Now, I grabbed my tools and got to work. Hours passed, glue, clamps, new strings. It wasn't perfect, but it'd play. I tuned it by hand, each note a quiet stab at something I couldn't name. Sarah found me there, mid-afternoon. "Paul," she started, her voice shaky. "Lily's upstairs. She won't talk to me. What happened last night?" I kept my eyes on the guitar, tightening a peg. "I took care of it. Jake's gone. Cops have him. She's safe." She stepped closer, wringing her hands. "Thank God. But what now? She's a mess. We need to—" "No," I said, cutting her off. I set the guitar down, stood up, faced her. "There's no we. I'm done, Sarah." Her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" I pulled the papers from my jacket, divorce forms I'd printed days ago, signed that morning. I'd been mulling it since her confession, but last night sealed it. I handed them over, watched her eyes widen. "I've been a father," I said, voice steady. 16 years, I gave her everything. You turned her against me, and I still pulled her out of that mess. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done being a fool." She took the papers, hands trembling, and shook her head. "Paul, no. We can work this out. I messed up. I know I did, but we're a family." "We're," I corrected. "You broke that, not me." I stepped past her, grabbed the guitar, and headed inside. She followed, pleading, but I tuned her out. I'd heard enough apologies to last a lifetime. Upstairs, Lily's door was shut. I could hear her inside, soft sobs, muffled by a pillow. My chest tightened, but I didn't knock. She didn't need me barging in, not now. Instead, I set the guitar against her door, careful not to let it fall. It wasn't a speech, wasn't a hug. It was what I had left to give, a piece of her I'd fixed, even if I couldn't fix us. I packed a bag after that. Clothes, my laptop, a few things from the office. Sarah watched from the hall, tears streaming, but she didn't try to stop me. "Where are you going?" she asked, voice breaking. "Somewhere else," I said, zipping the bag. "You'll get the house. Lily needs it. I'll figure the rest out." I slung the strap over my shoulder and walked downstairs. She didn't follow this time. The car was cold when I got in, engine rumbling to life. I sat there a minute, hands on the wheel, staring at the house. 16 years of memories, good ones, bad ones, all tangled up. Lily's first bike ride, Sarah's laugh before things soured, that photo on the mantle I'd turned down. It wasn't mine anymore. Maybe it never had been. I drove off, no plan, just motion. The road stretched out, empty and quiet, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Not happy, not yet, just unburdened. Lily would be okay. She'd hate me for a while, maybe forever, but she'd figure it out. Sarah would too. They didn't need me to hold them together. I'd done my part. Back at the house, I knew Lily found the guitar. I wasn't there to see it, but I pictured her picking it up, running her fingers over the strings. She'd strum it, maybe, a faint note cutting through her tears. She'd know I'd fixed it, know I'd been there one last time. That was enough. Sarah stood alone in the living room, papers crumpled in her hand, staring at the space I'd left behind. I didn't look back to see it. I kept driving, the town fading in the rear view, until it was just me and the road. Whatever came next, it was mine to choose. If this story hit you as hard as it hit me, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. What would you have done in his shoes? Subscribe now so you don't miss the next story, because trust me, There's more where this came from. See you in the next story.